Okay, so the government yields here, the 10-year yields here, are doing what we thought they would do, and they're hitting 4%, which we call a medium level. So we're looking at on a weekly chart of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and we're looking for a move higher. Now we know wave falls can get complicated, so we just need to be a little bit patient until we can figure out that we either have a low in place here or we'll end up having a more sideways correction here. One of the things that I'm waiting for is to see if we've actually get 5 waves up, so as 1 and 2. So once that pullback comes, it will leave the top here exposed, and then that would give us 3, 4, 5 up here at that point to finish that off. Now, one of the points that gives this a little bit of confidence that we go straight up from here and not have a more complicated sideways wave 4 here is the 2-year yields, where the 2-year yields have taken out the top here. So of course it can be wave 3 here and 4 here and 5 here, and it could be completed at that point, but it does bring up the possibility of having this as wave 1 to the upside here, and then having 3, 4, 5 here, and then folding back in a larger correction across the 5 here for the 2-year yields here. So that push up here, making a new high here, makes the 10 years possible, a possibility of pushing straight up rather than going sideways here. So we know that we've got a corrective wave here. We know eventually that we'll be taking the top out here, but that's where we are, and we're just keeping a bit of an eye on it at this point. And actually, I'll just bring that back up a little bit and just look at the US dollar while we're here. So with the this is the US dollar on the monthly chart here. I just thought we'd have a look at the bigger picture and just look at the volume rather than the wave count for a moment. So just taking it as it is here, you can see that, with the volume, for a trend to be a trend in any direction, it needs increasing volume. So you can see here on the monthly that we have increasing volume, and and on this move coming down through here, we can see each month is diminishing and diminishing and diminishing on the monthly. So we knew that we'd get a turn around this big number here. That was sort of logical. And then what we see is that, are we seeing increased volume into the move up here? So this monthly bar that pushed it up here was actually on lower volume than the previous bar, and that's how we read the volume. It's the relationship between the two volume bars, and also the last volume bar and the price bar, the open, the low, the high, the close, that relationship. So the range is important, and where it opens and closes is important. So, but we could see that the move up here was bullish, but we also note that it was up there on lower volume. So we know it's on hot air a little bit, moving to the upside. If we break that down a little bit further into the weekly chart here for a moment. So this, let me just get this, just open it up a little bit here. Let's just get some visuals on this. So this is the move down. It's a little bit harder to read it in that sense, but all I'm sort of suggesting here, this is the futures actually. But the main point here is that, what about the cash? Do they give you volume on this thing? No. So, it's not like we're seeing increased volume in this move to the upside. So it's a little bit hot airish, And one of the other things too is that just comparing this to other markets like the euro dollar, and I'm from Australia, so I look at the Australian dollar. See, with the Australian dollar, this is the 50% here, this line here, right? That's the 50% from top to bottom. So the Australian market is already in its 50% area here. And the euro dollar is not far behind either. So that would be telling me, and that's coming down in those, it's, the opposite direction, of course, but they are reaching their 50, 61% areas. Now, this one here is still at the 40%, so it's like a good 10%, probably probably 15%, 10-15% slower of moving up. So we can see it moving up on lower volume. We can see that the range has been less than the euro and the Australian dollar. There's other reasons, there's all sorts of reasons for these things, overvalued housing and yada yada yada, all sorts of things, but I'm not worried about that. I'm just concerned about what's actually happening. So I wonder to myself is that and the US dollar is really important to to commodities to start with, but really any country outside of the US, and also even companies rather that are in the US, depending on import exporters and so on, they affect differently, of course. But I sort of like thinking to myself, it's going to struggle to get up here. It's not showing me a lot of grunt in going up here, So there is a possibility at this point where we could just come down from here. But I don't have any evidence of that so far. This current move down off the top here, it's not quite giving me 5 waves down here just yet, And if it did come down, there's also the possibility that it just comes down 50% and then goes up from that point. But I don't think that would be the case, because if it had to go up here again, if it went down and then had to go back up here again to reach up to here, that's going to put the euro and the Australian dollar in a pretty tough place at that particular point. So I don't think that a move down and then back up is going to look right for the other currencies around the place. We either with this, and we'll look at the wave count in a moment, but we either turn and we come down from this point. I didn't mean to do all that, but so we either turn and come down from this point, or we do a slow grind up here with wave 1 already in place, coming back for wave 2, then going up for wave 3, 4, a bit wobbly here on this because I'm on the weekly chart, and then come down. So we kind of don't make it up there, we just sort of push up a little bit more. So that's the thing here. So we're just going to go in and talk about that a little bit. So in it grinding to the upside, we could look at this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the A wave, the B wave, then 1 and 2, and then 3, 4, 5. Now this is the 50-60% up there. It probably won't deliver a third wave that long. It could be just something that would hover around the 600 mark and probably top out into the 650, something like this here. I don't think that there's a big move to the upside. So with this, and this would be 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 5. So it would bring this down here. I don't think there's a lot left in this. So the other point here is that if we just go into look at this on the intraday, this particular move here, this is how I've got it at this point. So from the low over here, we've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 here, then the ABC pattern here, and then 1 and 2 here, and looking up for wave 3 here. But it's not an impulsive wave to the downside. So basically, it can come down a bit further and still be okay, but then it'll need to push up. So, we need to see some strength in this for it to happen. So the other side of it is that it could push up in a small way and then roll over at this point, and we could look at this as 5 waves down. But I don't have 5 waves here yet. I'll need to get a little bit more of a consolidation in here. I won't go into it at the moment, but it's possible that we could bring a top into this space at this point. But the truth of the matter is, when we talk about Elliott, all I'm seeing so far is I'm seeing impulse waves to the upside, corrective waves to the downside, impulse to the upside, corrective to the downside, impulsive to the upside. So I'm seeing a bullish trend here. There's no inclination at this point there's a change in trend. I'm looking for it, and I may get it here, but it's a bit of a long shot. We'll probably get it up here somewhere. If the 105 settles in as a really nice tested support with a classic trading levels pattern, then by all means we'll be going up higher at that point. So the truth is that we're still in a trend to the upside for this US dollar. Now, while that is the case, and if we do push up here, then that's going to place pressure on the commodities. End of story. You know, that's why I'm spending a little bit of time on this, of course. So all the commodities are under pressure, and you know, I've been talking about this for quite some time now. Yeah, and we can see some stocks. If I can just bring up a good example, is iron ore. I'm just going to bring this back here. So, you know, there's a lot of stocks in Europe and so on started moving up in October here, you know. But this iron ore stock is anywhere between sort of late September through to November. We had lows in different markets, but they're all in the same trend in a way. So this one here has been pushing up, and we've got wave 1 and 2 here, and 3 here, and 4 here, and then we're going up for wave 5 here. So we're nearly at a top here for this. So the reason I'm showing this for is because there's a lot of stocks that will be the same as this. Now, they could be, this is iron ore, but they could be copper stocks, they could be all sorts. But the iron ore stock here, the iron ore, Chinese iron ore here, and the Singapore one would be much the same as well. But, you know, stocks like Rio and FMG and whatever iron ore stocks are around the Vale and all of those, they're showing weakness at this point, you know. I see that this from wave 4 here has got 1, 2, 3, ABC for 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're coming to a top here. So all of those stocks will be facing a corrective pattern here. So any resource stocks that you're looking at, this is a little bit like the DAX. The DAX indice has been really the last one to top out here. You know, the Australian markets topped out earlier, and so on. So there's leaders and there's followers in all of these sorts of markets, and this one is just still sort of topping here. So you just need to be mindful of, you know, yeah, this will turn, and the BHPs of the world will turn with it. And yeah, some markets are already quite weak and have been weak for quite some time, like nickel, lithium, and so on. Copper's sort of holding up there, you know, Dr. Copper. It's kind of central to all sorts of things, isn't it? But anyway, I just thought I would sort of look at that for a moment. But yeah, that's where the US dollar is, and iron ore. So then we come over to gold. So gold is one of the markets that have moved with excuse me, with the US dollar. Our turn here, as you may know, on the 2nd of February was the low here on the 2nd of February. So if the markets turn here, then we'll have a low in for gold. If it pushes up here further, it could end up in some sort of WXY and just have one more move up here. But there's no evidence that there was coming down yet. So we know that there's going to be pressure on this market. So if I look at this here as the A wave here and then a B wave here, it's a bit small for the B wave, I must say. But this move down here, if we look at this as wave 1 here and then back for 2, then we'll have this as 3, 4, 5. So if we just take that on board for a moment and go back over here, if we look at this from the B wave and look at this as 1 and 2, we've already got this 1 and 2 in play to the downside here, right? So then this will be 1 and 2 here. This will be blue 1 and blue 2 here, like this is blue 1 and blue 2 here. Then we'll go up for 3, 4, 5, and we come down for 3, 4, 5, and we're down in the 1750 sort of area here. So I think that's a reasonable sort of an assumption at this particular point in time. I think GDX, which we won't be looking at today, has already taken this low out here for this. So on this one here, I've probably got a few counts on this, but let me think about this for a moment. I'll just have a quick look, see what I've done. I've done all sorts of weird things. Okay, the 21 here is got a couple of counts on it. So we've been looking, well, this is good. We've been looking at it as an ABC down through to here. But I can see here that we don't have 5 waves up here. So we can't call this wave too low in here. So we need to look at it over here. So we can remove this here. We've probably talked about this before. So we'll need to bring this down to here and put the B wave here. We're going to get rid of this one here. And then that would also line up with putting US dollar wave B over here as well. And then the only other thing I could see here, we haven't really rallied to our 50-60%. But it doesn't really matter, even though we haven't made a new low here, right? When we look at the US dollar here, it's made a high above its A wave here, right? So it would be logical to say that that's the right move here, and we'll look for a ABC here coming back 61.8% and all of that sort of stuff. And then we would look at this coming down as 3, 4, and 5 here. And then at the same time, the US dollar here can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, will this happen or not? All I can say is that we definitely need support on top of the 105 on the Dixie here. A nice, solid, tested support, you know, sitting on there firmly. So you can just do that by eyeballing it. And if you're unsure, then just wait longer. And the more that you wait, the more that you'll see and the more confidence you'll have in it. And then you make your decisions, not so much when you don't know and you're unsure. So just be careful of button pushing in all of that kind of stuff, you know. So there's probably different ways to count that, but I'll just give that some thought. But yeah, so that's where gold is at the moment. So this is silver. So this is going back a long time. I just thought we don't really spend a lot of time on silver, but this is it going back here. It's possible to look at it as wave 1 up here, but I wouldn't bet my grandma on that either. But it looks, you know, when you look at penny stocks that sort of start off and take off, they kind of got these sharp moves up and they come back, and then they got these sharp moves up, and, you know, so it's doing all the right things at the beginning for a beginning of a trend. But you know, some markets just don't, you know, they continue to do this all of their lives, you know, like the gas market. It can get out of whack now and again because of certain events, but you know, I don't know what the paper money is with the banks on this current situation. When Bear Stearns went bankrupt, Morgans had to buy all their take all their short positions with them as well, and that gave the short squeeze out of this. I can't remember exactly what happened with it all, but yeah, I mean, all of this count here, you know, it's not the best 5-wave structure to the upside. I'm not that happy with this particular wave 1 here. So, you know, we're just really basing this off gold to a point, you know. So, you know, what happens if this low here gets taken out here, for example? Well, then we'll just have to look at all of that as a B wave up here, some sort of A, B, and C up here. I mean, Bitcoin had the same thing here, didn't it? Sort of spiked down before it ran up to 65. Same pattern. So yeah, there's a lot going on here. I wouldn't, like I say, I wouldn't be a little bit careful. And even this move up here is 5 waves up here. Yeah, sure, we can get 5 waves out of it and so on. But anyway, we'll just be a little bit careful. But this would be the bigger picture, and I wouldn't go pinning my hopes on that this is actually wave 1 and 2 here, and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 here. I mean, let's because really all we've got is this, you know, the market's hit the floor, bounce back up, and we've never seen another high above any of the other highs. So we haven't seen a high above this one, this one, this one, or this one. So there's nothing here telling us that we're at strength yet with this. And the whole wave count here is impulsive and corrective here. Well, I think that's quite debatable. You know, we could certainly have a good debate about that. Where are we here in the monthly chart? So a weekly chart would be next. So looking at that wave 1 to the upside and the wave 2 coming back here. We've got this as the wave 1 and a wave A and a B and a C wave here. It's okay. I mean, I'm not that was when the Wall Street bet dudes came into it. Doesn't really give me a nice structure up here for wave 1, and I hate spikes, you know. I find them so annoying. It's not where the main traffic goes, you know. I'd be much better putting it over here, but if I put it over here, I'm battling to get 5 waves out of it. I could also get 3 waves out of it up there, you know. But that is the high, so we could use it, but it's kind of a bit of a false narrative in a way as well. So even this particular move up through here, this low little area here, yeah, sure, we can look at it as wave 1 and 2 here, and it kind of fits, everything fits okay. But I'm not really seeing a nice ABC pattern in here as well. We've got the stochastics coming down here, but the stochastics would always do the same as well, you know. I mean, you know, every time you get near a high and a low here, the stochastics would be telling you that, you know. So you don't need it really, because when this comes down here, it's telling you that you already know where it is compared to the price, you know what I mean? So I just use the stochastics to look at the speed in which it goes. I find is more helpful than the actual giving of signals or anything. So we don't really have a nice ABC pattern down here, and you know, we may end up getting something where we need to call this 5 waves here and then a move up here and then a move down. But we can't even do that either, because we really just need to move with the with gold, and that means we need to move with the US dollar as well. So we're gonna find support at the $220 mark here. Sorry, this is a CFD product. We're going to find support here, and it's going to bounce around like it's done over here and all that sort of stuff. So it's going to take a little while to work out and to get the right count. I mean, I can give counts, and we can, you know, talk about it until the cows come home, but there's different ways of viewing it. So with the gold market and if we bring this back across over here, the US dollar market here, it will have a relationship with it. So if this finds support here on the 105, if it does that and gives us a trigger with a classic trading levels pattern to the upside, then we're going to be pushing up here, here, and here for that, you know. Now, that's going to take, you know, a good week or so going up here. So we would want to be hopeful that the $20 mark here can hold the market steady for a little while on this, you know. We can look at this in terms of, I think I've got it somewhere else on here as a smaller version. I'll just have a look, probably the 20. Not the 20, not the 10, maybe the 5. If not the 5, then the 1. Okay, so, you know, it's a pretty grim sort of move down here. If we take this as wave 1, I could look at this as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, and I'm happy with that. It's a nice 5-wave structure here. You know, I could extend this out here too as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, but a B wave here. We've got the B wave on the other markets over here for this, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 possibly. So another low. We basically spend a bit more time with this wave 4 here, and we come down, but we'll definitely be coming down to around the 19 here. So let's just give it a bit more time. We can't go long here until we've got the US dollar you know, sorted and gold sorted. So anyway, that's the gold silver market, and our triangle pattern here for the crude market is playing out. But I do want to, let me just I do want to have a look at just quickly look at the other markets first. So back over to here. I mean, we look at these in terms of this is copper here, copper stocks, and we've got one from the UK, one from couple from the US, and so on in here. So this, Yeah, look, there's two things here that we're looking at. This is the copper futures, COMEX, probably the high grade end here, but we can look at it, the move up here as an A and a B and a C wave up here. And if that's the case, then we've got a bigger fall coming here. So we've just got to see how it plays out. So it will end up making this here an A wave here, a B wave up here, and a C wave down here. And we can just change that to probably intermediate degree at minimum. So we can look at it as the A wave here and ABC, where that 3 is for wave C of B here. So I don't know, I've been looking at this thinking, you know, can we have a wave 4 here for this, you know? How's it going to hold up here? Is that okay, you know? Yeah. I mean, I could squeeze 5 waves out of it to here. That's one thing, which is just a bit tricky in here. If we go 1 and 2 here, 1, 2, and then all of the 3rd, 4th, and 5th here, but we're not making a new high above this one. So it's a little bit tricky on that. So that's why we're looking at stocks. But anyway, if it was wave 4, we need one more push up here to wave 5 to make wave 1. If we do get the 5 waves here, then that would put us in line with iron ore and so on. But this would be lagging iron ore. Iron ore is already in the 5th of the 5th wave here up here. Some commodities are being already bearish here. So this is yeah, let's just clear the decks off here. This is another copper stock out of, this is on sterling, so the POMI one, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, but it could also be the A and the B here as well, you know, so we don't know that just yet. And if it is a B wave up here with 3 waves, well then of course we're going to be looking at 5 waves down here before we continue our journey to the upside. And this will be the softening that everybody's talking about, you know, the soft landing. And because that's the high here, we can see that's in 3 waves, so we'll have a flat correction here. So an A and a B and a C wave, there'll be 5 waves here. It'll come down close to this low here, and then it'll make its move here. So I don't know if we get, you know, what we get here just yet for this. And you know, this is the same when we look at all the other ones as well that are carrying any sort of weight, you know, it's the same, the B, the C wave here, that sort of thing. So anyway, we just keep, you know, we've just been watching it and monitoring it for weeks now. We'll just see what plays out at that point. And the nickel market, if we just have a look at the nickel here, we've been talking nickel down here as well. So we've been looking at, well, the whole move down from all of this palaver at the LME. So the A, the B, and the C wave up here for a B wave. Now, that may or may not be correct at this point. We could end up having, you know, we could end up having an A wave to here, some sort of B wave to here, and a C wave to here, and then down again as well. That's possible. But if copper fails, and gives us that B wave back up that we're looking for. So if I go back to copper here, if that's a B wave up here and this needs to come down for a C wave here, then we're going to see this finish off here. If we're going to finish off here, we'll look at this as 1 and 2, 1 and 2, and the 3rd, 4th, 5th for the 3rd, the 4th, and the 5th here for the C wave over here for that. So it'll be down, we'll need to take that low out, and we'll be down, you know, at 384. So I'll just leave that at that. I won't go into any of these at the moment. And lithium here, these are the 2 big Chinese stocks here. So these are the big daddies in it all, and they got interests in other places, of course, as well, in Australia and so on. Wherever there's anything, they'll be there. But I know that we've been monitoring this for ages now. We still need to come lower here for all of this. This one here has taken out the low here today by the looks of it a little bit. It's buddy here. Okay, it's dropped here, but it still hasn't taken the low out here. We may need to look at this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So looking at a larger 5 waves down here would also put it in line with copper. If copper decides to become, if copper decides not to be wave 4 here, it will have 5 waves down here and then move up here, all these copper stocks, and that would finish nickel off, and the US dollar would push up to sort of plug to put pressure onto these and liquidate positions in here, and then it needs to just take its natural 5 wave sequence to resolve its emotional issues, so to speak. So crude here, confirming as a corrective move. So the thing here now is that we'll take out this low here. So we'll just end up coming down here further. Now the thing is that we could possibly put this wave C over here and look at this as 1 here and ABC for 2 here, a little bit big, but it's a possibility. I mean, I'll just shoot the breeze just talking about things, so we get ideas. But when you've got a triangle pattern, it's not normally, you normally take the low and the high here, so we could just take this distance here. So a lot of the time it'll just be like this. So 6.8, but I've always talked about 6.5 here, the 65 number, which is a medium level. So we're going to put that in there. That will be our just sort of being an alpha male and owning that number, so to speak. So that's 65. Now obviously there'll be support at this big number as well. When you're counting 5 waves down, it's normally the 3rd wave that goes, even though that's number 3 there, it's normally the 3rd wave that plays out in this space. That's why you get that 4th wave there before you get the 5th wave down. So we'll see how that plays out. But if you wanted to short this, then the stop would need to go there, because that's 5 waves to that point. So that's the stop above there. Let me just double check that's all good. Yeah. So that shouldn't be breached. There will be, this is also little 5 waves in here, so there will be a kickback here. So even if it kicks back here a little bit at some point, that will give you a little entry point in there as well. Important numbers between the 7,000 and the 8,000. Put your levels in, so 1, 2, and 3 to make up group 1, and then the 5, so the bounce will come off the 5, the 7,500. Then you got your 650. So you got 1, 2, 3, 5, and 8. And when you talk about 8, you talk about group 2. So group 2 will be, the lower end of group 2 will be 7650, and then the 7720 or 22.5 to be a bit more precise. So that's that. And gas. So with gas, we've got we've got a pretty much from this wave 3, we're basically looking for an A wave up to the 3. Then we were looking for a B wave to come back to the 61.8%, and then we were looking for an equal move to the upside here. The 38.2% is around the $4 mark, but will that occur? This is a pretty, sometimes you look at a wave structure and you think, it looks impulsive, it smells impulsive, but it's actually corrective. But this one here is a pretty good textbook movement of 5 waves to the upside here. I think it's pretty straightforward. It does get a bit messy here, but most blokes can handle a bit of mess, so you shouldn't get too upset about that. So the second thing is we're in this, we're in the corrective phase back here for this, so we need to kind of figure out this a little bit. So there was a couple of things. I mean, keeping it simple, we could just look at this as just the A wave down to here. This is corrected for the B wave. So the C wave coming down here would be wave 1 and 2. So we'd probably get a 3 and a 4 here, and then we'll like push up at that point. So I think that's where we are, somewhere in here. I think one of the good things is that it'll be great if it goes below this number, the 250, because if it goes below it and then can find support on it, then we can move in. So if that's the 250 here, if it can drop below it and then try to get back above it, wait for the first high above the level, and then have your entry and then the second entry and all that. And a lot of the times it'll just drop back below the level, you know the story, because drops back below the level here, and then find support. The other move that it can do as well is when it comes back up to the 250 here, sometimes it can just plow straight through that. So in this case it can just plow straight through, but it should fall back, and then you start from the top and keep moving down until you get it. You know, you have to get it as support. Now obviously if you make a mistake, then you can't get it at this point, or I make a mistake, then you could probably go long at this point. Now the trouble is going long here is that it would only leave us, if this went straight up here, right, what could happen here is that it could just go to a B wave here, then a C wave, and then on. So basically an A and a B and a C wave. So in a way we really want to see 5 waves in this move here, you know. Just looking at it, I mean, I count here from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's all pretty clear from here to here, isn't it? As 5 waves, and that high is above that high, isn't it? So that could be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 finished here. That could be the low actually, but that puts a bit of a spanner in the works, doesn't it? So we don't want to wait that long. So I would suggest let's just, if that is the case, let's just use that $2.60 there and give it a bit of gravitas. And what we'll do is that if that moves up here and gives you a classic trading levels pattern here, so the first high above the level and the second one here, then you can go build in a position from this point. I just want to check that there just to make sure that we got that right. Well, that's clearly the high, so we can use that. It's impulsive, so that's good. Then we've got a change in trend, 1, 2. Oh, hang on a second. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1, 2. Yeah, that's all good. That's 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 extension in that one. So yeah, we could have that done and dusted here actually. Oh, we don't need all these over here, so let's just, I mean there's overlap in all of this too here, so it's probably not the case what I'm doing here, but anyway, it's just be a bit of food for thought. I mean, the positive thing is that it has made a new low below wave A here, you know. You don't want to grab it too quick, because on this, don't want to buy it on the low here unless you've got a really clean impulse wave here, because it could just also not I mean obviously it's in a downtrend, so it may not be finished, so it might be down for 1, back for 2 here somewhere, back to the 50-60%, and then have 3, 4 and 5 here, and then give us that little squiggle and trying to develop support here and that type of thing, you know, and then we can go long from that point. So anyway, that kind of covers gives us a little plan A, plan B, and so on at that point. So But there we go. So there's an opportunity coming here. Based on this 5 waves, we should get another 5 waves over here. I'll leave it all at that. Okay, thanks for tuning in, and enjoy the weekend. Cheers.